Hello guys, my name is Claude Fruit Pockets Williams. Welcome back to the Ball Hockey Goalie Basics channel. I'm so glad to have you guys back here. It's been such a long time. I'm so sorry for the delay in the content. I've been trying to bang out some scripts for this series and a little bit for the next series. However, work, hockey, and everything else has kind of taken up a lot of time. So instead, I'm going to just do note by note and do a little bit of an improv in order to get these videos to you guys out there as fast as possible. For this series, which we call the FundaMENTALS, it's going to all be about mental preparedness and mental toughness. Today's episode is going to be about why mental preparedness and mental toughness is important, as well as how to prepare for each and every game. So, without further ado, let's get into it, guys. So, why is mental preparedness and mental toughness so important to a goaltender? Well, think about it like this. Let's say you're living in a house or whatever living situation you guys are in. For a lot of us, we probably started out with roommates and maybe lived in the basement. But if you're going to buy a house, you're not just buying the basement, you're buying the whole house. That's what fundamentals kind of is, right? So when we're playing and we're learning all these things, we're learning the basics, and from there, everything flows. For example, in football, you learn how to tackle. I know this guy used to be a youth football coach myself, but there's a certain way you learn how to tackle, how to put your shoulder in, how to keep your head up. And so that's how you make the most basic tackle. But there's always going to be another step to tackling that's going to depend on how many situations, like how the player with the ball is coming towards you. Same thing with goaltending. For a little bit more of a close 1-to-1 ratio, we learned in our first couple of videos how to carve the angle, how to do the old time save with the stick and the skate, and we learned how to butterfly. And those are kind of basics, but as different saves and different scoring opportunities will require us to do different things. I'm going to try to teach you guys in the future how to do two-pad stacks and stuff like that. Your saves are not going to always look so conventional. But with those fundamentals, with a good base, you already have a good starting point. So a lot of those saves are going to be 10 times easier than they would if you never had that starting point in the first place. That's going to be your basement, if you will, and that's what the fundamentals are. The fundamentals, if you will, the mental aspect of hockey is the same thing. Everything that's going to come out of here comes from your mind, and that's not just true for hockey. It's true for everyday life. You can't do this without thinking about it. You can't blink. Even the video you're hearing and watching, your mind has to work in order to do that kind of stuff. But your mind is more than just a couple of reactions with your body. It's feelings, it's emotions, there's all of that stuff. It's nervousness, it's excitement, it's happiness. How you go, the attitude you walk into with every hockey game is going to determine how you play out there and how your body is going to function. If you think with confidence, every save you make is going to be confident. If you go out there, thinking, oh man, we're going to lose this game, such and such is across from me, my defense is just the worst, we can't score to save our life, I can't stop a beach ball, then what do you think is going to happen when you get in the game? It's going to be, the first intermission is going to happen, you're going to look up at the scoreboard, and it's going to be like 3-0, and you guys are pretty much out of it before the final whistle blows. So we want to make sure that we're already ready for the game before it happens, and that's where the mental toughness and the mental preparedness comes into play, especially before a game. So the next section we're going to be talking about is how to mentally prepare for each and every game the best way we can. And your routine might look a little bit different from mine, but as long as we got the basics going, we can figure it out from there. So let's get into talking about what we want to do before every game. So preparing for every game is going to look a little bit different, like I said, but we want to come into it with the same idea. So as I mentioned earlier in the video, I used to be a football coach. I coached with my old man back in the day. It was a whole lot of fun. But I was in high school at the time, and so while I taught kids a lot of the strategy about football and everything, I still learned a lot myself from other coaches, especially my dad. And one thing he always said was, you don't win the game when the kickoff happens, you win the game before the kickoff happens. Now, he was talking specifically about practice, but as it pertains to this video about mental toughness, you need to win the game before you go out on the court, and so we need to do a couple of steps to do that. And the first one, and the most important one, Some of you guys might still be in school, so I'm gonna say so. It's the same thing with preparing for a big test, right? We need to make sure we get a good night's sleep. If you do not get a good night's sleep, or at the very least take a nap, because I play most of my games on Wednesday night, so I have a little bit of time in between work and hockey to take the nap. But if you don't make sure you have proper sleep or a proper nap, you're going to go out there, you're going to be tired, and the only thing you can really be thinking about is when your head's going to hit the pillow. Your head's not going to be in the right mind frame for hockey. It's going to be focused on everything else. So we need to make sure we have enough time to make sure our bodies and our minds are rested, so that when we go out there, we're already ready. And speaking of making sure we're ready before we even leave the house, we got to make sure we eat a good meal. We don't want to eat anything too heavy or too close to the game, and we don't want to have something too light or too little either. Some of the best things you can do is probably a cream cheese bagel, or I think a little bit of tuna fish on a rice cracker, something that I've definitely heard. A little bit of rice and chicken. You don't want to have a really, really big meal, but you need to make sure there's something in your stomach, not just to energize you, but I can tell you this from experience. It's a lot harder to make a save when your stomach starts growling and the only thing you're thinking about is the fact that you're hungry. And not only that, your mind is going, like, not only thinking about that, your mind's just not, it's not able to focus on where the ball is coming from, because you're just tired and now you're just thinking about things that you shouldn't be thinking about. So once again, we need to make sure we have a good sleep, and then we need to make sure we eat well before each and every game. Going back to the eating well, a bowl of oatmeal also helps with some fruit, as long as you're not eating like 3 servings. We want to avoid stuff that's too light, so we don't want to have like a bowl of cereal and call it a day, or a Pop-Tart or a Rice Krispie treat. We really want to make sure our stomach is filled. We just don't want to overeat or eat too close to the game. If the game's in about an hour or less, forget about it. It's too late. Don't try to put something in your stomach. It's just gonna end up being sluggish and slow and really just not having a good time. But speaking of things being to an hour, we need to make sure we arrive to the rink as early as possible. I sometimes even like going there 40 to an hour and 40 minutes before the game happens. And the reason why is because of a couple of things that might be going on. Well, let's be honest, we're not NHLers, so we don't have a bus or a private plane to take us to games, and if we leave at the last minute, anything can happen on the road. I sometimes have to take the metro because I don't drive, and sometimes the metro doesn't act well. For those of you who don't live in the DMV, the metro is a public service transit, and it can break down. The highways can get congested, an accident might happen, now you're running late, and now you're scrambling to put your gear on, and you're frustrated, and you're not really focusing on what you got to do. So we want to arrive to the rink as fast as possible, but also because there's other mental stuff that can be coming up. That I'll get into a little bit later, but we really want to make sure we get to the rink as soon as possible in order to really get ourselves enough time to stretch and put our gear on. And speaking of which, of arriving at things on time, one of the big things we really want to do when we get there is also just focus on meditation. Now, I am a religious man myself, but I don't mean, getting into crisscross applesauce and holding your hands like this or doing yoga. What I mean by meditating is we want to make sure that we are mentally prepared. So we need to make sure that we're only focused on hockey and making sure that our feelings are correctly in check and in a certain balance, if you will. So what this looks like is, how do we feel going into the game? A little bit of nervousness is okay. Like, if we're feeling a little nervous, we're feeling a little like, man, if you're feeling a little tense, like, you go out there like, man, that guy makes me a little bit nervous, but I think I can I think I can hold him down. Like, man, this is a big game. I'm really I'm excited, but I'm also kind of a little nervous to mess up. That's okay, because it'll help make sure that your muscles are a little tensed up and you're a little bit more focused on the game. What we don't want to feel is anxiety. That's not what we want to feel. And what the anxiety is, and the difference is between that and nervousness, is when we feel anxiety, we have this pit in our stomach, man. Like, we are not focusing. We're having our bones shake inside of our skin. If you've ever felt like Like, I felt it a couple of times if you get really cold, or maybe that's that girl you really, really like and you're asking her out and you're like, I don't know about this. Like, we don't want to feel that going into a game. That's just going to make you think more about messing up than actually doing your job properly. And therefore, you're not prepared to do what you need to do to be successful. You don't want to be in that situation. So when we start feeling anxiety, this is one of the reasons we want to arrive to rank early. We can do some things like walk around. We can talk to teammates. If you're a kid watching this, I mean, even if you're not a kid watching this, we can talk to parents, and I know this for a factor. About a year ago, when I won my second championship game, going into the game, I was extremely nervous that we were going to blow it. So, and a couple of other stuff was going on. So I actually called my mom. I called my mom. She wasn't there to watch the game. She watched it online, but I was able to call her and get myself a lot more calmed down, and so I can do the rest of the stuff that I need to do. But you want to make sure that you're in a state of. You don't need to make sure you're in a state of nirvana, but you need to make sure that you're in a state of not worrying about what it's going to look like when you step out there, because you're already thinking about messing up or how big this game is. We don't want to feel anxiety. So once again, if we start feeling anxious, walk around a little bit, walk outside, walk around the rink, talk with other players in your team. If you're not playing against them, I encourage you to talk with other players around the league also, especially if you can find a fellow goaltender that's been playing for a long time. You might be able to get some really good advice. But we want to make sure that we are in a good spot mentally, and that's one of the big things we don't want to feel is anxiety. Nervousness, yes. Anxiety, no. So the next part of our meditation, if you will, is to make sure that we're focused on the next job. So this is something that I learned a while back ago, and it's called visualization. I learned this early in my career, and a lot of the pros do this too. And what it is you're not really manifesting success. You're not going like, oh man, if I think about it, I'm going to have 10,000 saves and I'm going to just stop everything, and I'm going to have a 40 shot shutout, and I'm going to be the greatest goalie, and all the scouts up there are going to be looking at me and no, we don't want to be doing that, because then we're just setting ourselves up for disappointment. Rather, we're taking the game and thinking about what we're going to do before we even get on the court. And so stuff can still go wrong from there, but by going out there, that way we're always prepared to make a save. So if you visualize yourself making a blocker save, then you're more likely to make a blocker save, especially if the shot comes from over there. Versus if you're like, if you're trying to overthink the things of how you're going to make this crazy save, you're going to try to do that first move to make that crazy save, and if you mess up, now it's a goal and now you're out of your element. So visualization really helps. So here's two ways we can visualize. So we want to close our eyes, and we do this for about 5 minutes at a time, right? So so you can take a ball in your hand if you want to. I don't have one around me per se, so we're just gonna imagine it there. But we're gonna close our eyes, and we're going to do nothing but focus on the ball in our mind. All right. That's all we're doing, is focusing on the ball. Think about what color it is. I play with an orange ball. Some leagues play with a red ball. You might even be playing with a pink ball, but think about the color of the ball you're going to be having. What brand is it? Is it a Milik ball? Is it a Milik ball like most leagues use? Is it a Napper ball? Is it Bauer? Is it Franklin? Think about what it looks like. Think about the heaviness, the weight. And whenever you lose the image of the ball, try to refocus it as much as you can. You might lose it for a second. Just like when you go out there, you might lose the ball for a second, but we're trying to refocus our head to figure out where the ball is. And we do this, like I said, we do this for about 5 to 10 minutes at a time. Now, keep your eyes closed, all right, for the next part. This is when we start going out there and we start visualizing what we're going to do on the court, how we're going to take our warm-ups, how we're going to play the game. You want to focus yourself. What kind of saves are we making? Are we making butterfly saves? Are we making stick and shoe saves, like the old-time style? Focus on you might have to make a 2-pad stack. I highly encourage you to focus only on the garden variety, but if you need to go a little bit more extreme, just a little bit, that's fine. You might be playing a tough team. How are we going to act when things go bad? How are we going to act when things go good? Imagine yourself making that saves more than you imagine yourself missing the saves. Imagine yourself being nearly perfect. Look at the scoreboard. Think about what time. Don't even think about the score. Think about how much time is in there and how much you need to lock in. Think about everything you do before you go out there. Do this for about 5 to 10 minutes, and then we can go back to opening our eyes and getting some movement going. And that's how we really want to meditate and visualize for the game. Okay, so now that I've got you mentally prepared, let me show you what my routine kind of looks like. So first and foremost, like I said before, we want to have a good night's sleep and a good night eat, and a good sorry, not good eat, like not good night eat. We want to have a good eat. Want to eat some good food, all right? So once again, good night's sleep, eat good food, and we're gonna arrive to the rink on time. A lot of times, because I play at night, and this league we actually do 20-minute halves, not 3 periods. I usually arrive the game prior because that gives me 40 minutes. 40 minutes to walk around if I need to, stretch it out. By the time the second half is about to start, that's 20 minutes. I actually have my own playlist. I might actually show you guys and put it on YouTube for you of what I listen to. But I put my music on, and the first thing I'm doing is I'm doing my last stretch, a couple of my last stretches, and now I'm going to be putting my pads on. So we don't want to put. I'm not putting the top parts on yet. I'm not putting the tops. I'm only putting the bottoms on. So that includes my cup, my pants, and my leg pads. So I'm only putting those on first, and then for the next song, this is when I start doing meditation and visualization. Now I've given you the recommendation to do this for 5 to 10 minutes. I sometimes cut it down per what verse in the song, just because I've gotten a little bit better at it. So I usually do things faster. But until you get to that level, really, really take your time with visualization to make sure that you're prepared for the game. And then, so going back to what I do, right? So I have my eyes closed. I'm meditating. I'm visualizing the game. I'm keeping the ball in my mind. I'm keeping the saves on my mind. For the next song, this is when I start trying to get the blood moving a little bit, right? So I'm going up and down in the locker room, using butterflies, getting my arms moving a little bit. Maybe I might be jumping up and down, and I'm watching the game from the area that I'm in to kind of get a feel of some of the competition I might be facing, right? So I'm always still being mentally focused. Now I'm getting the blood moving on stuff I need to do by the time I get out there. By the next song, now I'm starting to put the rest of the gear on, and then I have my own walkout song, and at that point I'm running out, and I'm meeting my teammates. I've now become a co-captain, so I'm at the top of the other co-captain, but I'm meeting my teammates, and I'm going to be doing my warm-ups, which in the next video I'll be showing you what a good warm-up should look like, because that is also part of mental preparedness. Having a bad warm-up can lead to bad games. Having a good warm-up can lead to good games. It doesn't always work like that, but about 80% of the time it does. So next video I'll be telling you guys about that, but that is my warm-up routine, to get the head going and a little bit of the blood going too. But once again, yours might look different. I want you to take as much of this video as possible to build your own routine, starting off with the basics first. And once you do that, then you can start, fidgeting around a little bit with your plan. Like I said, I listen to music. You might want to switch to your music. I do this every month or so. I switch up the music. But once again, it all starts up here. And if you walk into the game thinking you're a loser, you're going to be a loser. If you think about walking to a winner, then you're going to play better. And even if the scoreboard doesn't reflect that you won, might say you guys tied, it might say that you lost. You will feel like you've played 10 times better if you walk in there with that confidence. Not overconfidence, just confidence enough that you're going to stop the ball. So practice this as much as you can. I'm going to hopefully see you guys on a much more consistent basis. Thank you guys so much for being patient with me and watching the channel. I hope you guys learned as much as you can. Please, if you did enjoy this video, please like, share, and subscribe. It will really help out with the algorithm on YouTube, as well as the factor that we want to get as many people in the ball hockey goalie community seeing this as much as possible to really grow the game as much as we can. Once again, my name is Cloud Food Pockets Williams. This is the Ball Hockey Goalie Basics channel. And until next time, everyone, have a great game and keep stopping the ball out there.